China has been flexing its muscles over the South China Sea, and the US has now done the one thing Beijing warned them not to. What a difference a week makes. A month ago, US and British carriers crossed the South China Sea to little fanfare. Last week, Beijing suddenly demanded all foreign warships register their intent to enter the international waterway. This week, the US did what it's always done. But Beijing's crying foul. The Chinese People's Liberation Army, PLA, Southern Theater Command on Wednesday vowed to stay on high alert and safeguard China's sovereignty and security, and protect peace and stability in the South China Sea, the Communist Party-controlled Global Times declares. But China has no sovereignty there. At least none that the US, Vietnam, Malaysia, Taiwan and the Philippines accept. It built a series of artificial island fortresses atop what were once tidal reefs in the Spratly and Paracel Islands. Under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS, tidal reefs, rocks and sandbars don't count as territory. Nor do artificial islands. Beijing says they do. On September 1, China upped the ante by demanding that any vessel that poses a threat to China register its presence, intent, and nature when seeking to enter its territorial waters. To Beijing, that includes the entire South China Sea. So Washington pushed back. It sent in the USS Carl Vinson aircraft carrier and its task force, without completing the requisite paperwork. It's also conducted one of its most assertive, freedom of navigation, exercises yet. The U.S. Navy's Twitter account responded by posting examples of Chinese naval vessels freely passing through the 12 nautical mile territorial waters of Guam and Hawaii, all allowed under undefined, innocent passage rules. Washington argues it applies its interpretation of UNCLOS standards to all unconfirmed claimants, be they Vietnam, Taiwan, the Philippines, or China. It recently upset its Quad ally India by conducting a similar FONOP passage in its disputed waters. All nations, large and small, should be secure in their sovereignty, free from coercion, and able to pursue economic growth consistent with accepted international rules and norms, a U.S. Navy statement reads. On Wednesday, the United States sent a guided missile destroyer, the USS Benfold, on a risky mission. It passed within 12 nautical miles, 22 kilometers, of a heavily armed Chinese artificial island fortress, Mischief Reef, in the Spratly Islands. Beijing points to the maneuver as ironclad proof of U.S. navigation hegemony and militarization of the South China Sea. The USS Benfold's transit had unlawfully entered the waters off Meiji Jiao, Mischief Reef, without permission from the Chinese government, a People's Liberation Army statement reads. More and more facts have proved that the U.S. is the biggest risk maker and the biggest breaker of stability and peace in the region, Air Force Senior Colonel Tian Junli reportedly said. He stressed, China has sovereignty over the islands and nearby waters, and the troops of the PLA Southern Theater Command will stay on high alert. Washington says it doesn't care who owns the Spratly Islands, so long as UN law is used to resolve that disputed ownership. It also says it only accepts the UN's definition of what constitutes national territory. Which is why it doesn't accept Beijing's claim. Nor does it accept that artificial islands impart sovereignty. In its natural state, Mischief Reef is underwater at high tide. It's just one of several atolls Beijing has dredged and raised before adding airfields, barracks, military-grade docks, radars and weapons towers. Washington's not a signatory to UNCLOS. Beijing is. Which is why calling the destroyer's transit a serious violation of China's sovereignty and security makes little sense.